Welcome to another episode of Between Two Nerds, where we bring a small human being in to sit between two nerds and have a little conversation about science. This week's human being is...
James, and I am 9.
Good. Very nice to meet you, James.
And you know the nerds. I am Mo.
And I am Eugene.
Okay, James, fire away.
My first question is, why is there 24 hours in a day?
It's a good question. Well, but short answer, you need some time to be awake and you need some time to be asleep, and 24 feels like about the right number. But it's actually more to do with the movement of our solar system and the movement of our planet, and both in terms of its... Do you know how our planet moves?
Yeah.
So we spin, which is one thing. So we're like a spinning ball in space. Rotate, sorry, been corrected, which is a lot like spinning. And we're also moving. How else are we moving?
Around the sun.
Around the sun. So they're sort of the two main movements that drive the calendar that we use. Now, if you take the days, you're saying 24 hours in a day. So, and I mean, I said at the beginning, you need time to sleep and you need time to be awake. So if you take your typical 24 hours, is it likely that you're going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to have 24 hours of daylight?
No.
No. Do you think you're going to go to bed tonight and then you're going to find, for some reason, we've got 24 hours of darkness?
No.
Why?
Because there's a little bit of sunlight right now.
Absolutely. So daytime, traditionally speaking, is the sunny bit, and nighttime is the starry bit or the dark bit. Now that is all because, so if your head was the sun and my hand was the earth and we were stood here, let's say Dubai is here right now, is Dubai able to see the sun? If I'm stood in Dubai, can I see the sun?
Yes.
I can. Now, the Earth is rotating, it's not spinning. So as the Earth rotates, I'm stood here. Can I still see the sun?
A little bit.
Can I still see the sun?
Yeah.
What about now?
It's about sunset.
About
sunset.
good job.
Yeah.
Now?
It's completely gone.
It's completely gone. So as the Earth rotates, we face the sun for daytime, and at night time, when we're not facing the sun, everything goes dark. So we base our calendar on that single full rotation of planet Earth, which happens to take 24 hours. So that wasn't by our design at all. So we have adapted as humans and as animals, and all life on Earth has adapted and grown and evolved the way it has, based on the fact that what we call a day lasts 24 hours.
Right.
So I think it's the Egyptians who first said it was 24 hours. And they took the number 24 from the Babylonians, who are where Iraq is right now, so ancient civilization. But there's actually, so roughly it's 12 hours of sunlight, 12 hours of nighttime, but that's not always the case, right? So there's actually two types of days. There's a solar day, which goes by nighttime, daytime, right? And there's a sidereal day, which actually you're just measuring how much the Earth rotates, so how long it takes the Earth. So you take a star, not the sun, just a fixed star that seems to always be in one position in the sky, and say how long it takes for you to do the full circle and see that star back at the same point at night. And those happen. So sidereal day is almost 24 hours. It's just under 24 hours.
Right.
The solar day, well, it changes. Sometimes it's a little bit more than 24 hours, and sometimes it's less, because when our planet is orbiting the sun, right, it's not a nice circular orbit. It's more egg-shaped, elliptical. So that's why we have differences in the two. And even then, like, say, in the winter, right? So here in Dubai, though, we pretty much have pretty constant 12 hours-ish of daytime and nighttime. But in England, or Scotland, right, in the summer, have you ever been back home during the summer? and the sun's out till about 10 at night, right?
Maybe, or at least it's light.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the sun was out.
Yeah. So maybe the sun's not out, but it's
Still
light
pretty
out.
light.
Yeah. It's still light out till about 10, right?
Yep.
And then in the winter, the sun sets at
Deepest, darkest
Like-
winter.
4 or 5.
Yeah, well, they don't help by moving the clocks.
Don't
But
watch
I
that.
remember being in the UK, and in deepest, darkest winter, it'd be dark at 3:30, 4 o'clock, which just seems totally unfair.
Yeah.
To move to Dubai.
Yeah. So that's why it's 24 hours, because of the Earth's rotation.
Right.
Sorry, and what's that word you use? I knew everything you said except for the word. The
Sidereal.
sidereal.
Yeah. So
I've become
so
smarter.
side and real.
Sidereal.
Yeah, sidereal.
When you explain why it's sidereal, it's less impressive.
No, that's not why. It's just the word. That's how you spell it, side and real.
Oh, right.
That's not why. Another real side.
This is where that word derives from. Sidereal.
Yeah, sidereal.
I will use
So
that.
so they measure. It's just when they go. I think it's because where they use like a fixed star, not our
Yeah.
sun, because they're too close for
Yeah,
it
yeah.
to be a fixed one.
I'm going to use that word weekly.
Sidereally. Maybe not. You don't have to use it right.
Very good.
All right, James. Next question.
Why are there 365 days in a year?
I can see. I can sense a pattern.
Now, based on what we explained on the day, why do you think there are 365 days in the year? Apart from it gives us enough time to fit all the months in. Any ideas?
No.
It's to do with, so I was talking about the spin of the Earth, but then we started talking about the rotation of the Earth.
Now you can say spin. So they're
Am I allowed to say- right,
we should
okay.
use orbit.
So, and the Earth is also, what's the other movements? We're spinning and spinning and spinning. What's the
But
other
it's
thing we're
also
doing?
moving.
Around
So it's like spinning this
Yep.
way, but also moving this way.
around what? What are we moving
sun.
around? We're
Sun.
moving around the sun.
Orbiting.
Orbiting the sun, correct.
There we go.
Now, for a day, so each spin, rotation of the Earth is circa 24 hours, and that's our day. And then our year, which is generally we break down, yes, we do it by months, but we often do it by seasons. So those 4 seasons are based on where you are on the planet in relation to where the planet is to the sun. So it takes, how many days do you think it takes for the Earth to orbit the sun?
365 days.
Little high five. Correct. So that, again, it's our calendar, the day, the months, certainly the seasons, and the way that we break and understand those seasons, and the year is based on that movement. So it takes the planet 365 days to do a lap
Yeah.
of the sun.
But it wasn't always it does take 365 days, but the calendars weren't always 365 days in a
Yeah.
year. So it's
It was before the dinosaurs. It was different.
It
was like
Were you
12.
there?
Were you there? It's just the inside scoop.
Is that true?
That's what I heard from someone.
Actually, so humans, though, have had calendars that have had different amounts of days in there. So there's 3, so the Mayans, ancient civilization from South America, the first ones to say 365 days in the year. So once we knew more about astronomy, right, as much as the Mayans did, at least, then we had this calendar that was 365 days because that tracked the movement of the Earth around
Right.
the sun in greater detail.
Yeah. Okay.
Made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And my last question is, why is there 4 years in a leap year?
Yeah, well,
Why is there,
every
Now-
4th year we drop a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
why?
you know when Eugene asked you how long it takes the Earth to orbit the
Yeah.
sun, what was your answer?
1 year.
Yeah, 80 days.
365 days.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that is actually close, but not exactly. It's 365 days and a quarter.
Oh,
But-
so like
so-
365 days and 6 hours.
Yeah. Okay. So so I told you. So in about the 1500s, the new calendar is invented. The calendar that we use now. It's called the Gregorian calendar. Okay? So what that did, so astronomers put this together. Now what they were trying to do is that because the Earth actually takes a little bit longer than 300, whatever, how many ever days, the seasons kept moving along the calendar. They didn't always. Now spring starts on March 21st.
Stop looking at me for confirmation on these things.
Okay, then there's...
Definitely March.
Yeah, so the seasons, we always wanted the seasons to fit at a certain... It started at the same time on the calendar. But because our calendar that we were using before was actually a bit off from the actual Earth's rotation, the seasons were starting at different times. And they just didn't want that to happen. They wanted the seasons to start at exactly the same time every year. Okay? So that's why this calendar is invented, and then they tracked and they saw that actually, we need 365 days, but it actually takes a little bit more than 365 days, a quarter, right? So that's why, so every 4 years, they decided to have a leap year where they would add a day into the month of February. So you have February 29th every 4 days. Okay, but actually though, what this did was that it actually over-corrected. So now, so it's actually not a quarter, it's actually a little less than a quarter. So every 100 years, our calendars would go slightly out of sync with the orbit. So every 100 years, so like the 1900s, or say in 2100, right? That year, although should have a leap year, will not have a leap year because it's a century year, like a 100 year. But actually, though...
Sounds like a right faff to work out, to be honest.
No, but actually, though, but now once you take that day out, now you under-correcting. So your calendars every 400 years now will go out of sync by a day every 400 years.
Does anybody care?
Oh, yeah, it's very, very important, though, because so it keeps us... so now every 400 years, you have to add that leap year back in. Yeah. So the year 2000... shouldn't have had a leap. Should have a leap year because it's divisible by 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because it's a century year, should not have had one.
Yeah.
But because it's a century year that's divisible by 400, you have to add it back in. So the year 2100 won't have it, but the year 2400 will have a leap day.
I'm suddenly honoured to have lived through such a spectacular year.
This is the most accurate calendar human beings have ever made. I mean, there have been loads of calendars that human beings have made in our history. This is the most accurate one. This is accurate for like the next 10,000 years or something. It's all because the reason why we have to do it is because we want to measure these things with a certain, we want to have 24 hours and 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, and a certain amount of days in a year.
Okay.
And if we want to have that and make it match the seasons and everything else that's happening, because of our position in space, right? If we want that to happen, then we need to have this accurate calendar. And there's actually a reason why we choose 60 and 24 and 360 degrees in a circle. It's because of the Babylonians I told you about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. So the reason why we have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day is because, now we use the decimal system. So whenever we count, we use our 10 fingers, right? So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't have to count.
No, you really didn't.
No, this isn't podcasting gold, this. Okay. But the Babylonians, though, didn't count like that. The way they did it, you see like these little grooves on your fingers?
So they counted by 1, 2,
2. So they use their thumb to do the counting.
2.
No, so don't count your thumb.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
2, 3,
10,
4,
11,
5,
12.
6,
So you got 12,
okay.
then you add 12 there. So
Can I just say, I thought this was going nowhere.
It's
just
blowing your mind.
a little
Exactly, wait. So that's 12.
Yeah.
Then you do that, again, 24, 36, 48, 60. That's why we have 60.
That is good.
I told you, you just got to give me a second.
The end of that conversation was recovered.
So they were able to count
So that's how
up
they
to
counted.
60.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, on just using the 2 hands instead of 10
Wow.
Why didn't I know that?
Because you haven't spent enough time with me, that's why.
I didn't know that.
So, that's why, though, we have the 60s are always, 60 seconds, 60 minutes. 24 is, again, something you on there, so 12, 24, right? Then later on, when you start learning about degrees in circles, you'll go, there's 360 degrees in a circle, right? And all of that is because of this, the Babylonians liked it. Because also 60 can be divided by lots of different numbers without leaving a remainder.
I'm a big fan of the Babylonians, huh?
They did
Well done.
quite a bit. Yeah. Cool.
Makes sense? Are you going to remember every word?
Not every
Share
word,
all
but I'm
this
going to
knowledge.
remember some of it.
Yeah.
Like the answers to the questions.
Yeah, that's the bit
All
you
the
should
other
remember.
waffle.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Should we have a little clap?
Yeah.
Like we started?
So, thanks for...
Wait, I'm practicing.
Okay. So, thank you for
Thank you.
joining us, James. I
Thank
hope
you
you
very much,
enjoyed
James.
that.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes?
That's good.
And thank you guys for listening. Wave bye.
Wait,
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.